And so I become present in my body, in the room, within community. I acknowledge that there is one life that is happening right now. There is a power here and in the universe, everywhere at once. And it is the source. It is this energy and power and life that is creating and never stops. It is transformation happening. And because it is the only thing that exists, it is creating everything from its own body, its own self, whatever that substance is. And so I know that I am being created in this moment, and that everything else that is created in this moment and throughout eternity is a part of me because I'm a part of it. And so I am in relationship with all things, with all beings, with every thought and feeling and idea, every movement of the heavens, every flutter of a butterfly. It is a part of me. And I am so grateful. Grateful to know that there is no place that I can be in any time or space where I am already home, I am already connected, I am already in my family of origin because I am from the source. And that makes me happy to know that together with all that I am experiencing God in action, in joy, in love, and it is all blessed. And it is unending. And so I accept today, I accept this family, this life, this body that I am a part of, and everything that is going on, because it's all God, and it's all good, and it's for me and everyone. And so I simply release this back into that source that is making it all possible. And I just carry that love on today. And so with great thanks, I simply claim it, and so it is.
Today's reading from Mark Nepo in the Book of Awakening talks about how he and a friend of his were in Montreal for a garden, to go to a garden that was the largest collection of bonsai outside of Asia. And they really wanted to get into it, and when they arrived, the gates were closed and locked. And he was frustrated and angry because they had just driven 400 miles across, from one country to another, and how dare the gates be closed? Anybody ever have that kind of experience in life? You know what I'm talking about? Yes. And so not necessarily directly that. But his partner decided, rather than standing there being angry and planning to write a letter to the organization that ran it, he kind of started walking along the wall just to see what he could see. He decided to take it on as a Japanese koan to be explored. And eventually he found out that the wall was a facade, and that over here was the end of the wall, and from there was the garden, and you could just walk in through the grass into the garden. And so often we can kind of be like flies that are banging our head against the wall right here, the window right here, saying, I've got to get out this window when this door is open right here. So I found another solution. Rather than having them sing a complicated song, I'm going to do the first verse of the song myself. I will not sing. Just so I'll put all your panic away. One big allness, split, so it could experience the magic of relationship. Without separation, there would be no exploration of love in the depths of it, every little bit. It's from Amy Steinberg. We've sung a few of her songs also. I think we're going to probably sing Intimate with the Infinite at the end of the month because that's the talk title. So, uh, and she says at the end of the song, "In you, I see the pieces of God coming back together again." So you and I are individualizations of the divine. She uses the word separation. I have a little semantics about that. I prefer the word individuation or individualization of God. In order to know itself, the oneness needs to have a way of knowing itself. Because if I'm just a oneness, I don't experience anything other than myself. In the Tao Te Ching, they talk about that there's a comparison of that high and low define each other, long and short measure each other. We can't know one without the other. And so in order to do that, we have to move out of the oneness, the oh, I'm just one, into an experience of life, into the experience of other than whatever it is we want to know. So we can appreciate it. See, we appreciate a nice warm room here because we experience cold out there, yes? Or maybe we experience cold out there because we have a nice overly heated room in here, whatever it is. So in order to know itself, it has to have a way of knowing, and that way is the way of individuating itself. So that it can know and relate with itself, so it can know and experience itself. You and I are God experiencing itself. Nudge your neighbor and look at them and say, you are God experiencing itself. You are God experiencing itself. And the infinite wants to experience all the aspects of the allness, yes? All of it. You know, we like to think of God as this super nice guy that sits up in the clouds in pure bliss. But this infinite allness, this infinite oneness is all of it. Yes? You know, I listened to our young friend back here, and you know, we get to experience the all of it. And any of us who have been parents know that there's the wonderful joy of it, and then there's the poopy diapers, right? The all of it. There's the joy and sorrow, the light and the dark. And it is here to experience all of itself. So, looking at the word individuation means all the multiplicity of forms that this oneness takes, and yet is still oneness. Yes? In my mind, in my semantics, and I preface it with that, separation, on the other hand, connotes and is often experienced as a disconnection from the oneness, being outside of it. And with that sense of and belief in separation comes the fear of being cut off from source. We began the belief in separation in ancient times, ancient times, even before I was born, right? Whoa, even before Toy K was born. Whoa. And it's born in a belief in lack, that there would never be enough, and we must hoard what we have, keep it from the one beside us, so that we can survive the winter and not starve. That's our separation. There's not enough. Separation is fear-based and is, to disagree with Paul, the root of all evil. So what does this have to do with relationship? You probably thought I was going to give a nice little sweet talk on how sweet relationships. Yeah. No. Those who know me well know that I've been divorced 3 times, and so I am no expert on relationships. I'm an expert on how not to do relationships, but that's not today's talk. So when we are living in curiosity, when we are living in exploration, understanding that anything we are and anything we encounter is all an aspect of the oneness. How much of it is? All. Yes, that includes that person you don't like, whoever that is. By the way, we don't have to like it all, but we have to recognize that it is still all of the oneness. When we have that understanding, when we have that perspective, when we are grounded in that knowing, we live with an openness, a gentleness, a vulnerability, a curiosity, a willingness to explore. But if we live in a fear-based state of separation, believing that others can give or take from us, that our source of life, of all good, is outside of us, and we must appease, that's called people pleasing, or take from it, that's called, greed. We live very differently, yes? And we relate to other people, we relate to each other, we relate to ourselves, we relate to the planet, and we relate to our sense of the infinite very differently. One way of relating is open and welcoming, the other is closed, suspicious, and filled with greed. Mark Nepo had a lovely poem in today's reading that said, or maybe it was yesterday's, the greedy one gathered all the cherries, while the simple one tasted all the cherries in one. When we live in an awareness that all is the one, we can experience the fullness of that oneness in everything and everyone, in every moment. We don't need more, and more, whether it's people, whether it's things, whether it's experiences, or feeling loved, whole, and at peace. When we live from the awareness of the oneness and our oneness as that oneness, one experience taken to heart, fully experienced, fully engaged in, will satisfy our hunger for whatever it is that we're after. It will satisfy our hunger to be loved by everyone. If we are just present with what is in front of us, truly present as the one, realizing we're experiencing and living in the one. As individualized forms of the infinite, we can't experience everything all at once. I'm sorry, but all those personal growth seminars that said you can have it all and you can have it all now, not really. We couldn't handle it all, right? You couldn't handle it all at once right now. No, in human, and stay in human form. There's is it Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, the Adventure of the Crystal Skull, where the antagonist finally gets her wish to know all. She's dealing with aliens, and they finally give her all the knowledge. And at first, she's really delighted, and oh my God, this is wonderful. And all of a sudden, she's like, oh my God, this is terrible. And the next thing is she's blown apart, literally. So that's kind of how, when in the Bible it says you can't really gaze on God without dying, I can't really, in human form, know that complete experience without basically getting in real trouble as a human being. Now we can, as the God self that we are, we not only know all, we already are all and knowing that. But to stay in this body, you like the body? That you're in, for now, you want to keep it for a little while, yeah. Okay, we can't have it all. We can't experience everything at once. Even if I had all the Ferraris in the world, I can't drive them all at once. And some people would be very unhappy because they would lose their Ferraris. So we can't experience everything all at once, but we can recognize that everything is an expression of the oneness, and then anything contains the fullness of the infinite. If we recognize that everything is the oneness, any molecule, any part of that contains the fullness of the infinite. And it's up to us to discern this. And we can look around right now, we can see a whole lot of people that are consumed by the belief in separation and the fear that arises from this belief. Yes? A whole lot of people having that fear of separation, that belief in separation. And they have forgotten that no person, place, or thing is their source. And so some try to hoard, and some try to control, while others live in fear or in anger and fighting that someone else determines their worth and even their right to exist. While the fear-based controllers think they can do so, life, capital L life, is bigger than the small pettiness of the would-be controllers. Take a breath. We've watched this throughout human history, people trying to control, people trying to hoard. It works for a little while, and eventually it collapses, yes? Empires rise, empires fall, dictators rise, dictators fall. Life has a way of keeping on moving. So as we explore love and relationship, we are going to get to that, we would do well to remember that people have tried to control love and relationships throughout human history. They tried to control who can love who, or who can love whom. Yes? Only this social status can love this social status. Only this people of this religion can love people. You must love people of the same religion, people from the same country. I knew a couple when I lived in Seattle that was a very elderly couple in Ballard that I forget which two countries they were from anymore, but one was from like Finland, the other was from Sweden, and those countries were mortal enemies with each other at the point in time when they were getting married, and their parents were appalled that they would fall in love with each other. And it was the talk, apparently, of their whole little culture. In Ballard, if you don't know, in Seattle is a very Norwegian, or it was, it's kind of moved off that now, but a very Norwegian or Scandinavian community. And so we have all these rules of who can love who and who's not supposed to love who. But in case you haven't noticed, love has always jumped whatever fences have been placed around it. It can't be contained. Love is the infinite presence. It's been said that God is love. So it jumps whatever fences the fear-based controllers have erected. Much of what we're currently seeing is the screaming, writhing death throes of old beliefs, of people who are frightened that if they let go of ancient rules and beliefs born from conditions long since past, the chaos or an angry God will take over and create punishment and misery, most of which will be the misery from having to learn a new way of being and realizing that old barriers were just illusions created out of self-ignorance and fear. Take a breath. Are you with me? All of this also gets played out in individual relationships too. If you want to see rules-based control, just watch a new couple, particularly if they're a younger couple, celebrating their first Christmas together. This is how we celebrate Christmas. Well, this is how we celebrate Christmas. One or two of you may even be chuckling from recognition. There's the right way. There's a fun little story of a newly married couple who is celebrating their first Easter together. And they're going to have a ham dinner for Easter dinner. And so the wife takes and cuts the ends off the ham before she puts it in the oven. And the husband looks at her and goes, "Why are you cutting the ends off the ham? That's like the best part. It gets all crispy on the end." And she goes, "Well, but that's how my mom always did it." And it's like, "I don't get it." So, she goes ahead and does it. And later on, Mom's coming over for dinner. So they agree to ask Mom, "Why do you cut the ends off the ham?" And so she says, "Well, it's because my mom always cut it off. That's how, I was raised to do it." And so they finally decided to call Grandma up and say, "Why did you cut the ends off the ham?" And she's like, "I don't cut the ends off." "Oh, yeah, when you were a little girl, we didn't have a lot of money, and I only had a small pan, and the whole ham wouldn't fit in the pan, so I had to cut the ends off to put it in." See, Grandma had a reason at a time that made sense. But we carry rules and beliefs over and over and over without understanding where they came from and what they were about. So we can get into this, my way is the right way, and from there can come control and greed, or openness and exploration. From there, a couple can either go like this, or they can go like this, being open to something new, exploring. One of Ernest Holmes' favorite sayings was, "Unity does not mean uniformity." Unity does not mean that everybody and everything has to be the same. The uniqueness of each individual is fully present in the oneness. We're here not to be the same. We're here to be unique, yes? Because if the oneness wants to experience itself, it has to find individual, unique ways to do that process. So it's seeking to experience itself through and as you, this unique individualization. And so we get scared of that, and we try to make everybody the same in some cases when we're living out of fear. But we can actually express more fully when we live outside the structures of fear. When we live outside of the fear-based structures in which so much of humanity has and does live. In relationships, individual or collective, when we see each other as the divinity in form, whole, perfect, and complete as we are, nudge your neighbor and go, you are whole, perfect, and complete right this second, right now. Not when you lose those 5 pounds, not when you have your hair cut, not when you fill in the blank. You're whole, perfect, and complete right now. Breathe. Breathe that in. When we can see that, when we really get that, I want you to imagine you're looking at the person you're really the most upset with and pissed off right now in the world, and look at that person and think, you are whole, perfect, and complete right now exactly as you are. Breathe. No. Our belief in separation and our non-understanding that we are actually all one and that there is something larger than just our individuality that is moving through all of life keeps us, I don't want to look at that. And the growing up, the adulting as spiritual adults, which is what we're about, is to move past that. It's not to deny it, it's to experience, yeah, I don't like that. I don't want to have lunch with that person. But I still have to recognize that whether I like or dislike, agree or disagree, that person and I are still one of the one. Breathe. Even if they're totally asleep to it, still one of the one. When we can see that, we release the need to control, to manipulate, either overtly or covertly. You know, we see overt control, and then we see covert control. I'm going to manipulate you with little emotional things here and doing that. So we release the need to control either overtly or covertly, and we release the insecurity and fear-based greed that needs more, trying to feel whole when wholeness is already and always present. This is what an addict encounters when they're trying to fill themselves up with some sort of a substance or a process or something else, is if I just have a little more of that process or that substance, then I'll feel whole, perfect, and complete. And one of the main things that people do in a 12-step type program is to realize they already are whole, perfect, and complete. And they don't have to fill something. When we take the time and focus to truly be with it, we can simply be as individual expressions of an infinite wholeness and infinite love that is being us. And thus, all of it is present here and now. So we can be with each other. And this is really the key to relationship. Can I just simply be with this person, this being in front of me, and can I truly let this person in front of me be with me? Can I be open? Can I be open to being seen, that's into me see? And can I also be present to just seeing them as they are? Not wanting to fix them, not wanting to change them, just present with, I see you as who you are. Our relationships are to support us in rising into a greater awareness of oneness. If you want to know where you need to work, just notice where the relationships are that tick you off. And that's where our work is. Others are not here to fill our emptiness, nor are we here to fill their emptiness, which is only an illusion anyway. But we come together to lift each other, to enjoy each other, to explore the divine uniqueness of each other. One big allness split so it could experience the magic of relationship. Without separation, there could be no exploration of love. Psalm 133:1, I'm going to quote the Bible. Hold your breath. Behold, behold how good and how pleasant it is for people to dwell together in unity. That's almost the entire psalm, by the way. Be aware of how good and how pleasant it is. We come here in unity, yes? We come here because we like to hang out with people like ourselves. But even the people who are not like ourselves are still one of us. So ideally, that's what we do here is we hang out. We have little personality differences, don't we? What was that? I hope so, yes, because we're all unique. And once in a while they rub us, and yet we still get the opportunity to remember that even that person who irritates me, myself included, I irritate myself sometimes, is still one of the oneness. And that's why we take classes, that's why we read books to remind us of who we truly are and to relate to God as God. And that's what we're here to do, is to bring the pieces of God back together again. So this week, one practice. Pay attention to how you relate to others. Are you relating as God to God, as wholeness to wholeness? Some people are very embedded in their stories of lack and emptiness, of right and wrong. This afternoon there's going to be a bunch of people that are very engaged in my way is the right way, my group is the right group, and Jesus is going to help my group win this game. Yes? And others of us are going to just simply watch and go, oh, wow, interesting game. And others of us are going to go, game? What game? And go shopping instead. So some people are very embedded in their stories of lack and emptiness and right and wrong and will use strategies of fear, control, and manipulation to get what they think, and that's the key, that they think will fulfill them. Can you hold them in love anyway? Doesn't mean you have to go along with them. Doesn't, again, mean you have to have lunch with them or like them. But can you hold them in that place of oneness and unity on that journey? And can you also not be one of them on the other side? Can you not be sitting there going, my team and my way are right and yours is wrong? And instead step back from that and going, there's a divine process happening here and all there is God. And I'm here to simply be an opening to that process happening. I'm here to watch the game, but not get sucked into the game. Are you willing to play with that practice? Pay attention to how you relate to others. We do that by remembering our own wholeness all the time. So whatever it takes for you to remember your wholeness, do that. Put a reminder on your bathroom mirror. I'm already whole. I'm already perfect. I'm already complete. So I'm going to close with a quote from Paul Selig from his book Resurrection. The realization that God is source, or that he refers to it as there's one tone sung. We sometimes call it the Word of God. He calls it the tone of God, one tone sung, expressed as all things. And that tone may be aligned to and allow you to give and be the recipient of gifts that are ever present, will transform your experience of reality. The realization of God as source will transform our experience of reality. So we have an affirmation just to help us remind us of that. Say this with me. I see with the eyes of love. And notice that the love is capitalized. It's the beyond human love. It's the infinite love. I see with the eyes of that big love. So say it one more time with me. I see with the eyes of love. And so it is.